Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Trump cracks down on immigration, plans to send additional troops to Mexico border. Russia says it's ready for mutually respectful talks after Trump threatens sanctions for Ukraine conflict. And thousands told to evacuate after a new fire breaks out in the US city of Los Angeles. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will be on a two-day visit to Beijing. He will take part in the meeting of Foreign Secretary Vice Minister mechanism between India and China. According to India's Ministry of External Affairs, the resumption of this bilateral mechanism flows from the agreement at the leadership level to discuss the next steps for India-China relations, including political, economic and people-to-people domains. And my colleague Jessica Taneja joins now for more on this story. Jessica, tell us more about the Foreign Secretary's visit.
Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will be meeting the Vice Foreign Minister of China, is what we're given to understand at this point, Ramesh. It's important because the series and continuous engagement with the Chinese official has been maintained so far. And if you look at how this has developed over the years, the mechanism of those meetings and reviews of the progress that the two countries have made ever since the disengagement at the border, and agreement of that disengagement process was signed in October 21st, followed by then the leaders' bilateral meeting at Kazan on the sidelines of the BRICS summit, and perhaps then followed by the 23rd round of the special representative talks, where you saw just last month India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was in Beijing for that two-day meeting and looking at the review of the India-China relations. But what we're given to understand from this readout at this point is that the Foreign Secretary will be there from January 25th to the 27th. Possibilities of discussing resumption of flights and of course also visas, but we haven't seen any official confirmation to the effect. So we will have to wait and see as to what all is discussed between the two leaders. But as far as the progress of talks and resumption of ties between the two, there has been a consistent movement beginning with the military level talks, which then laid the ground for what we saw on October 21st in Kazan, October 23rd in Kazan, where the Prime Minister then met his Chinese counterpart, and of course looking at the disengagement and talking about the mutual interest of the two nations in maintaining peace and tranquility along the border area, especially in Ladakh, where the patrolling sites of Depsang and Demchok were in contention. And you also heard from the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh later on confirmed to the effect that the disengagement process is almost complete. So things are moving in a direction, but continuous engagement between the two sides has been visible, and perhaps would look at more alignment, especially in terms of trade. As far as China is concerned, it's one of our largest trading partners. So of course, and our neighbor with whom we share a 3,500 kilometer border. So a lot needs to be discussed with the neighbor in the recent times and also times ahead.
Right, we'll leave it there. Jessica Taneja, thank you. Appreciate it. In the latest of a series of executive actions US President Donald Trump has taken to curb illegal immigration, his administration has directed prosecutors to investigate officials who resist immigration enforcement efforts, intensifying a sweeping crackdown that Trump launched the day he took office. In a memo seen by a news agency, Trump's acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove told Justice Department staff that state and local authorities must cooperate with the immigration crackdown, and federal prosecutors shall investigate incidents involving any such misconduct for potential prosecution. The policy was issued as the new Republican administration prepared to step up policing of illegal immigration in cities with significant migrant populations, setting up potential confrontations with officials in cities such as New York and Chicago that limit cooperation with such efforts. The new memo underscored how Trump's Justice Department may try to back his immigration agenda by expanding threats of criminal charges beyond immigrants or those who employ them to city and state officials. During Trump's first 2017 to 2021 term in office, many Democratic officials refused to cooperate with his enforcement efforts, and some vowed to defy him again. The Republican-led U.S. Congress gave final approval to the immigrant detention bill on Wednesday. The House passed the bill with 46 Democrats joining 278 Republicans. This is President Trump's first legislative victory since being sworn into office. The law passed the upper chamber in a comfortable 64 to 35 vote earlier this week after sailing through the House of Representatives. The bill will be the first legislation to be signed by Donald Trump in his second tenure as U.S. president. Named after a woman who was killed by an undocumented immigrant, the Laken-Riley bill requires officials to detain undocumented immigrants who are charged, arrested, or convicted by certain crimes.
This is a good bill. It's a common sense law enforcement bill. Simply states, minor level crime now, local law enforcement can contact ICE to get these people detained, processed, and deported. These people, these criminals that come across that inflict violence on American families, they just get more and more emboldened.
Meanwhile, the White House has said that the U.S. military will send 1,500 additional active duty troops to the border with Mexico. The additional troops include 500 Marines as well as Army helicopter crews and intelligence analysts. They'll join 2,200 active duty troops and thousands of National Guard that were on the border prior to Trump's inauguration this week. These forces will work on the placement of physical barriers and other border missions. Acting Secretary of Defense said the department will provide military airlift to support deportation flights of more than 5,000 immigrants held by U.S. authorities in El Paso, Texas, and San Diego in California. Donald Trump, in his first interview since taking the oath as U.S. president for the second time, issued a warning to Joe Biden, saying his predecessor had not given himself a preemptive pardon that would guard him against any actions taken by the current administration.
Funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him. I mean, the money went to him.
During an interview with Fox News, Trump criticized the federal government's emergency response agency, FEMA, saying all it does is complicate everything.
With FEMA is so bad. FEMA is a whole other discussion because all it does is complicate everything. FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. You know, I had FEMA working really well, and FEMA is going to be a whole big discussion very shortly because I'd rather see the states take care of their own problems. If they have a tornado someplace, and if they let that state.
Right, moving on, the Kremlin has said that it saw nothing new in U.S. President Donald Trump's calls for Russia to end its military offensive in Ukraine, adding that Moscow is ready for quote-unquote mutually respectful dialogue with him. The U.S. leader had on Wednesday threatened fresh sanctions on Moscow if Russia did not strike a deal to end its nearly 3-year campaign against Ukraine. Expectations are high that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Trump will soon hold a phone call to discuss the conflict after the Republican pledged on the campaign trail to bring a swift end to the fighting. Germany's Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said on Thursday that the United States and Europe need to stay united on support to Ukraine and any peace deal with Russia.
I'm sure that the U.S. administration will reach out for their partners in Europe because we need all together. We need together a united approach to that issue, because it's not easy to solve, not even for the United States. So we should stay together, and we should stay committed, remain committed to support Ukraine as long as it takes. And of course, everybody of us is longing for peace, but particularly Ukraine. And it has to be a peace in freedom, and not only a peace for any price.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday to reiterate Washington, D.C.'s support for its ally, and the two also discussed Iran and Israeli hostages in Gaza. The call was Rubio's first with Israel since the administration of Republican President Donald Trump took office on Monday. Trump and his predecessor, former President Joe Biden, have both been supporters of Israel during its wars in Gaza and Lebanon. The State Department said in a statement that Rubio underscored that maintaining the United States' steadfast support for Israel is a top priority for Trump. Rubio told Netanyahu that Washington, D.C. will continue to work tirelessly to help free the remaining hostages in Gaza. The Israeli Army's operation in Jenin in the West Bank continued for the third day on Thursday, with military presence in the area. The Israeli Army said in a statement that the operation is aimed at countering Iranian-backed militant groups in the volatile West Bank city. The Israeli Defense Minister said on Wednesday that forces were applying lessons learned in Gaza. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdelatif met with his British counterpart David Lammy in Cairo on Thursday. According to a statement by Egypt's Foreign Ministry, the meeting comes as part of the UK-Egypt Association Council, which aims at strengthening the strategic partnership between the two nations. The statement also says that the two ministers discussed the ongoing situation in Gaza, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, the Red Sea, among other political issues. A new wildfire that broke out north of Los Angeles on Wednesday rapidly spread to more than 9,400 acres, fueled by strong winds and dry brush, displacing more than 31,000 people. The Hughes fire sent huge flames and plumes of smoke over a hilly area and further taxed firefighters, who have managed to bring two major fires in the metropolitan area largely under control. In just a few hours on Wednesday, the new fire grew to two-thirds the size of the Eaton fire, one of the two monster conflagrations that have ravaged the Los Angeles area. Officials warned people in the Castaic Lake area of Los Angeles County that they face immediate threat to life. Some 31,000 people were under mandatory evacuation orders, and another 23,000 face evacuation warnings. The Angeles National Forest said its entire 700,000-acre park in the San Gabriel Mountains was closed to visitors. Los Angeles County Fire Chief Anthony Marone said the National Weather Service has extended the red flag warning in the county.
The National Weather Service has extended the red flag warning through 10 a.m. on Friday for most of Los Angeles and Ventura counties. Light to moderate Santa Ana winds will continue tonight and into Thursday. The situation remains dynamic, and the fire remains a difficult fire to contain, although we are getting the upper hand.
During an interview with Fox News, President Donald Trump threatened to withhold federal disaster aid for wildfire-ravaged Los Angeles unless California leaders change the state's approach on its management of water.
I might have to do that. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do. Look, California is a great example of it. If you actually polled the people, they don't want sanctuary cities, but Gavin Newsom does, and these radical left politicians do. I don't think we should give California anything until they let water flow down into there.
Still to come on DD India Live. Updates from the World Economic Forum in Davos. Gen Z enjoy a day out at the Maha Kumbh. And defending champion Aryna Sabalenka beats Paula Badosa to enter a third straight Australian Open final.
There is an urgent need for sustainable solutions to environmental challenges. Let's explore the impact of individual effort in addressing some of the most pressing issues for our planet.
It's important to engage with policy. It's important to engage with the questions around us and to think beyond short-term fixes.
It's such a nice thing to do for the nature as well, and once you do it, you also feel like something you have accomplished.
I received training from them and started this business in 2019. So I thought it's good business if I can earn 30,000 rupees after investing just 2,000.
I've known Father Godson Samuel for over 4 years now. We used to discuss how to replace plastic with palm products in an innovative way that can be easily accepted by people.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Updates from the ongoing World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, as global leaders have called for action on artificial intelligence, regional reforms and environmental initiatives at the annual meeting, discussing key global and regional challenges. These include responding to geopolitical shocks, stimulating growth to improve living standards, and stewarding a just and inclusive energy transition. Speaking at the launch of the Global Energy Transition Forum in Davos on Thursday, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the world is moving faster than ever on the clean energy transition.
The world is moving faster than ever towards clean energy. Last year alone, global spending on clean energy hit a record of $2 trillion. For every dollar invested in fossil fuels, you had $2 invested in renewable energy. And the power sector, clean energy investments outnumber fossil fuel by 10 to 1.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump will speak remotely at the forum, delivering his first major speech to global business and political leaders. Trump is due to give a speech and engage in a dialogue as well. India is the world's fastest growing major economy, growing at over 8% in the past year. This growth has been buoyed by a focus on promoting local innovation and startups in technology and manufacturing, representing a departure from traditional export-oriented models. At the World Economic Forum, Minister of Information and Broadcasting Ashwini Vaishnav outlined India's 4 strategic economic pillars, from inclusive growth to a focus on technology.
I would like to say that India has a very well thought through economic strategy at this point of time for the last many years now. The strategy is based on 4 pillars. Pillar number 1 is public investment in social, physical and digital infrastructure. Pillar number 2 is a lot of focus on technology, manufacturing and innovation. Pillar number 3 is inclusive growth. We have a very diverse society, inclusive growth. Pillar number 4 is simplification.
On the occasion of Parakram Divas on Thursday, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid homage to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The Prime Minister, along with other parliamentarians, paid floral tributes to Netaji at the Central Hall of the Samvidhan Sadan in the national capital. The Prime Minister also shared his remarks on the day. He noted that Netaji's contribution to India's freedom movement was unparalleled and he epitomized courage and grit, adding that his vision continues to motivate us as we work towards building the India he envisioned.
वो चाहते तो अंग्रेजी शासन में एक वरिष्ठ अधिकारी बनकर आराम की जिंदगी जीते, लेकिन उन्होंने आजादी के लिए कष्टों को चुना, चुनौतियों को चुना, देश विदेश में भटकना पसंद किया। नेताजी सुभाष कंफर्ट जोन के बंधन में नहीं बंधे, इसी तरह आज हम सभी को विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए अपने कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर निकलना है। हमें खुद को ग्लोबली बेस्ट बनाना है। एक्सीलेंस को चुनना ही है। एफिशिएंसी पर फोकस करना है।
Today, India commemorates the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, a revolutionary leader whose relentless struggle against British colonial rule made him a symbol of bravery and nationalism. His legacy continues to inspire generations. Take a look at the next report.
Subhash Chandra Bose was born on January 23, 1897 in Cuttack, Odisha. A visionary leader, Bose was instrumental in galvanizing the youth and organizing the Indian National Army to fight against British colonial rule. Popularly addressed as Netaji, Bose's leadership extended beyond borders as he united Indians across nations to join the cause of freedom. His efforts to seek international alliances and his role as the president of Indian National Congress in 1938 and 1939 solidified his place in history. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is one of India's most celebrated freedom fighters, known for his fiery patriotism and the slogan, "Give me blood, I will give you freedom." He still remains a symbol of courage, determination, and sacrifice in India's struggle for independence. On this day, citizens across the nation remember Bose's vision of a free and self-reliant India. From school children to political leaders, tributes pour in, honoring his life and legacy. As India continues to grow as a global power, the ideals of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose serve as a guiding light for the nation's progress. His words, "Freedom is not given, it is taken," continue to resonate deeply in the hearts of every Indian. Kriti Vadera's report for DD India.
And now to all the latest from the Maha Kumbh, the largest gathering of humans on the planet. The Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Sanjay Jaju, visited the Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj on Thursday. During his visit, the Secretary held meetings with officials from Doordarshan, All India Radio and PIB to review the preparations and visited their exhibitions as well. After the meeting, he said that Prasar Bharati has made excellent arrangements to broadcast the Maha Kumbh to the nation and the world. Kumbh Vani, a new FM channel, is now operational and also broadcast through the public announcement system in the Kumbh area.
डिजिटल महाकुंभ कहने के पीछे जो उद्देश्य है वो यह है कि यहाँ कुछ घटित हो रहा है, जो पावनता यहाँ पर सबके लिए उजागर हो रही है। देश भर से श्रद्धालु यहाँ आ रहे हैं। उनमें से कई ऐसे हैं शायद जो ना आ पाएँ, तो वो भी इस चमत्कार का, इस माहौल का, महाकुंभ का अपने घर में बैठे अपने टेलीविज़न पर, अपने फ़ोन पर इसका आनंद ले सकें, इसकी यहाँ पर तैयारी की जा रही है।
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen now to download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.